This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Rock, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's a real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, though? It is another Thursday. I have survived slinging the mail, even though I've almost gone postal. But what's new with that? You know, somebody else who might be losing it with all this weight cut stuff and all that stuff is our guest tonight, Britain Hart Beltran. How are you doing? Thanks for joining the show.
I'm doing great, guys. Super happy to be on here. So thanks. The introduction was awesome. And yeah, speaking of the weight cuts, just have to say shout out. I actually am going through a huge, bigger weight cut than I thought I was for once in my life, and had to reach out to some local sponsorship here in Miami with Healthy Miami Kitchen, who has me on these healthy meal plans now to really get me down to that 125 weight class.
That's awesome.
So where are you starting? Where do you usually start your cuts from? Because like I can only speak for myself because I fought a few times boxing and I fought at 120, 125, and 130 when I was around from like 14 to 18. But I gotta imagine like from where you start, where you're starting at a cut, that's gotta, you know, for me, I never had a ton to cut, but if you got a big cut, man, that's nasty.
Right. So it's been such a weird journey for me. When I first started boxing, I actually boxed at 118. So my normal walk around weight was 122. So it wasn't really that big of a deal dropping 4 pounds just to get to this 118 fight class. We actually even talked about moving myself to 116 at one time. But Bare Knuckle came around, and Bare Knuckle only has one weight class. Now they have 2. It's kind of developing. But at the time when I started, they only had the one, which was 125. So I was like, man, that's kind of big for me, but I really think I can do it. And these girls can drop to 118 if they wanted to. So it's not really too big of a difference. So let me just try and see what I can. So then I'm trying to do the opposite of cutting weight. I'm trying to eat, and put on weight. And, you know, a lot of coaches and fight camps, that was the goal, not to lose weight. They're like, we need to put 10 pounds on you, you know, so you can not get pushed around by these other girls and have more to sit down on your punches. So from doing that from the last 4 years, now I'm walking around. Normally, like a healthy weight for me is like 122. So now I've been walking around like 130, inching up to like 134, 135, which the last year I've really kind of gotten used to it. But prior to that, it was actually really hard. It felt like I wasn't as quick on my feet, but I would get like compliments from everybody else being like, whoa, you're hitting way harder, you know, solid, etc. But for me personally, I felt like I kind of lost speed in that transition, but now I'm kind of figuring it out. But now I'm like being rewired to cutting to 118, 116. Now I'm cutting from 135 to 125, which is 10 pounds. It's really not that much when you think about it in the fight game, but to people sitting at home, it sounds a lot. And if you don't do it correctly and don't have help doing it, it is a lot and it's challenging. So right now I'm kind of trying to fix it and nip it in the bud. You know, I'm right around like 133 right now. So again, starting with this new meal prep, I got to really be diligent about not just how much I'm eating, but what kind of food I'm eating. And then really at the end of the day, guys, it comes down to water weight. A couple days before the fight,
Yep.
Get rid of the water in your body. You're there.
Yeah, the diet really helps lead up to that point and being healthy and making sure you have all your vitamins, minerals, all your essentials in there. So once you do start cutting any actual water out, you're not going to feel as drained. That's the big thing.
Exactly. You nailed it. And you don't get that droggy, I'm dehydrated or drained. Your body, you know, being healthy is so important with that, like you said, because some of these fighters do these weight cuts and they do it wrong. And then when they rehydrate, they're still feeling like shit because they're just like malnutrition, and don't have the proper nutrients and minerals in their body. So doing a water weight cut is more detrimental if you're not healthy and kind of have that head start during the fight camp leading up to it.
Well, plus now with all like you mentioned with like your meal prep sponsors and all that stuff, I feel like when I first started training, I started training in 2005 or 2006. So back then you weren't hearing anybody talking about meal preps or meal plans or having their weight cuts lined out or anything like that. Cause it's just crazy just to see how that's evolved over the years. Cause I mean, like I said, I remember being in high school running with trash bags on with a hoodie and sweatpants on over top of it just to make myself lose the weight. Or you would get in the sauna and you're all done up in trash bags while you're hitting mitts and just sweating the hell out of yourself. Now it's like, it's crazy to see like the science of it. I got to watch past guest of this show and a good friend of mine, Miles Jury from Bellator now, but through his run through UFC, like watching him go from fighting at 155 to fighting at 145. I'm like, fool, I know what you walk around at like in between these fights. So, to see like how once more people started doing the meal prep and all that, how that changed things and everything. But that leads into a question, shout out to Hannah. Hannah was the one dropping a lot of the questions to us at KO3C Pod on Instagram and all that good stuff. But she asked, for you, what's one of your big motivators? Like, what is it that keeps you, wanting to fight? What is it that keeps you motivated during a weight cut? And obviously, watching you fight, you are not afraid of a banger. So what is it that keeps you motivated through them?
Not even really trying to get brownie points with it, but, big shout out to Hannah. But really, to be honest with you, the real reason why I do it and the biggest motivation are people like her, fans and people that are watching. Because for me, I feel like I know how tough I am. I feel like, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm the shit. I've walked through some freaking hellacious fires that I know so many other people couldn't do. So that's in my heart and in my mind. I have a man that loves me. I'm not trying to win the affection of anybody. My kids are super proud of me. I'm not trying to win them back. I love my friends. There's nothing out there that I really need to prove that I haven't proved to myself, besides the people that are watching to see what's next and not to just become complacent with what is or settle into that was good enough. There's so many people out there that want more and that you want to motivate and that see something greater. And, like I said, I'm fine with myself, but that's the beauty of people being able to push you and say, no, you might be fine with yourself, but we're not done seeing what you can accomplish yet. We're not done because you haven't won a belt yet. You haven't accomplished those yet. You need to get your ass out there and train because we believe in you and we want to watch you fight. So when I hear people say, I can't wait to watch you fight again, that's my motivating factor. I don't, to me, go in there is, I do love it and it is fun and there are some great aspects to it, but really, it really comes down to like, I don't want to come out and have a bad fight for everyone who believes in me. The people at home that, think they can or having a bad day and need some kind of motivation pickup like, damn, well, Britain can do it. Maybe I'll go and do this crazy thing. Maybe I'll go do that crazy thing. You're sick, you have cancer, you're missing an arm. Well, hey, Britain went through this and she went out there and still fought in front of all these people. Maybe I can. And I feel like that is so much more valuable. And like, I feel like as human beings, we really need that purpose in life. And that really was my purpose from day one. Whatever career path I'm in, is inspire and show that you can be so much greater than what you already think you are. And, if I stop living that and doing that and being motivated by these people, I'm really not being who I am, which is, like I said, I might be great with me. You might be great with you, but we can push you to new boundaries because they're always out there.
Yeah. And continue to expose you to new people. And it seems like BKFC has done a great job with that. I mean, once you made your, initial footprints in there, that first fight was a little tough, but after that, you just continued to climb and just be on a constant showcase that you're, to your point, willing to grind and put the work in to, put on these great fights and be entertaining as hell. And I think there's a reason why they picked you to be in that Paige Van Zant fight. I mean, speak to like how big of a spotlight did you feel once that call came in, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just played back an interview that I did that just came out, and it was pretty cool because there was a clip in there that the same question that you're asking that really, like, I didn't even realize I said it, but it was like, man, it was the first time in my life I actually felt like somebody. You know, in fighting and boxing, I was always trying to be that person, but they were always making me the journeyman. They were making me, you know, someone to advance somebody else. You know, they weren't really seeing me for what I bring to the table and what I really, what my skills and what my heart and the potential I have. And I was just always clawing at that and not really making the right moves. I wasn't with the right people. You know, I came across like almost every dirt bag you can probably come across, you know, and you know, it never got me down. I never gave up. I just wanted to prove those dirt bags wrong. And so that's what kept me going and motivating me. And then when I got the Paige Van Zant fight, the reaction to it and how it was done, I was like, whoa, this is really my moment. The spotlight's really on me. And I'm really somebody. I'm really a name. I'm really a face. I'm really, you know, a feeling in the sport, you know, that people are going to know and people are going to remember. And damn, I definitely poured every last bit of, you know, emotion and energy into making sure that that dream came a reality.
Yeah, you could really tell once they announced that you were the winner, and you could just see the emotion on your face. It was one of the best moments from BKFC history, in my opinion. It was such a standout moment. And then to your point, the whole feeling speech and everything, it really was such a home run for him, I feel like.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. People can joke about it. And yeah, I wish I would have worded it a little better and
No,
maybe omitted some things. But hey, at least you guys know that was like 100% real and like
yeah.
adrenaline and where my mind was.
Well, that's as somebody who considers myself a fight degenerate, I watch all this stuff from, you know, BKFC, UFC, Bellator, every organization pretty much I'm out there watching. And that's one of the things that really stands out is when you can see somebody kind of, to your point, accomplish their dreams in a moment and really kind of try to take that feeling in, and you expressing it the way you did. I think that was what made it stand out even that much more.
Thank you.
With that being said, you know, what we talked a little bit about, you know, you having a boxing background, you know, before you came over to bare knuckle. What was it that enticed you with bare knuckle? What was it that made you want to come fight those fights? Because, you know, like we mentioned, you've been with bare knuckle FC at this point, you know, pretty much, you know, since their rise to start coming up has been coming, and you've had like the Rocky story pretty much. You had a rough fight, first fight, then you come out, you get on your big win streak. You know, you had the fight with Christine in your last fight. Now you're bouncing back to fight Bec again. I mean, you've really had, if anyone has any type of story inside of bare knuckle, it would be you. And with that being said, you know, like, what was it that, you know, it's not everybody's first choice to come try to fight bare knuckle.
Right. And let me tell you, it was not my first choice. It's actually a super funny. I'm so glad you guys are asking me because I did not want to do bare knuckle at all. I said no to him like at least 3 times, like hard no. And the final conversation, you know, because the money kept kind of going up. And I was like, look, I don't care how much money you guys are paying me. I'm not going on TV. You know, money means nothing to me. Like, it doesn't. Like, I'm following my dreams. I'm not chasing a paper check, you know, or I'd be doing a lot other things with my life right now. But, you know, I really believe in this dream. And I'm not being humiliated on TV. I'm not having my stock go down on what I've worked for just for a payday. And they're like, no, it's not like that, you know. And they were talking about Bec. And they're like, you know, she's really not as great as people think. She's just a name and a title. She really
Isn't it great how they tell you that?
Yeah, I know, right? And I was like, oh, and that's
you can beat her though. Fuck the fact that she could fight.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, you got her. She's really not that big, you know. the camera puts on 10 pounds. I was like, damn. But, it made me believe. It made me believe for a second. And I found myself saying, let me think about it. And I asked like 5 people, and they were like, yeah, why not? And then some were like, you're crazy. Hell no. And I kept asking. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm asking too many people. That means I'm seeking validation.
Yeah.
I want to do this because why would I ask people's opinion? I want to do this. This is my way out of here. I was stuck in, such a shitty situation. Story of my life. I was in a bad situation. And I was like, this could be the answer out. So let me just give it everything I have and see if this is kind of like the universe, God, whatever sign that they're giving me, because I said no and it kept coming back. I said no, kept coming back. So I'm like, maybe this is really like what I was asking for. It might not be perfect, but damn, it's here. And so I did. And, even it was crazy because I didn't even win that fight, but that, losing that fight still propelled me so much farther than I could have imagined because people could see I wasn't a pushover. I gave a good fight, even mild robbery in a lot of people's opinions and eyes, the split decision. And, it really showed me what I was capable of, being that I was only training myself at the YMCA. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a team. I literally was just running and trying to kill myself at a Y. And then after that, that's when like this other, like it sparked this wild goose chase for me to like find a team, because everyone was like, you would have won that fight if you had some boxing training and a team behind you. And I was like, damn, you're right. I really need to go and get this. So that's kind of what started that. But yeah, prior to that, I just wanted to be boxing. I actually turned bare knuckle down to go box. And then they hit me up right after my boxing match. I was like, gosh, these people are relentless. And so it's so funny to this day because people are messaging me, how do you get into bare knuckle? I'm trying so hard. I want to get into bare knuckle. How do you do it? And I'm like, dude, like, it's something that chooses you. Like when you go asking for those problems, you're gonna get them, and they hurt. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to expose you 100. So many people I've seen beg and run their mouth for bare knuckle fights, and they get it, and they get knocked out the first round, and it's like, But yeah, I really had to be convinced to do it my first time.
I mean, so I know they offered you a great name for your first fight and stuff like that to kind of, to your point, reel you in and get you under the, umbrella. But could you have ever imagined, 3-4 years later or whatever it's been to this point, where BKFC has taken itself? I mean, they really just, I bring them up like at least every other, show on here, just talking about the constant growth that you guys have been able to do. It's been amazing. It really has.
Yeah, and I remember that being an early conversation. A lot of people were like, on the positive, they were like, yeah, why not? This could be good. It's a fad. It'll be around there. And then some people were like, no, who knows if this is even going to last any longer?
Mm-hmm.
It could fizzle out after 5 shows. I was like, yeah, you're right. But, hey, I was there. The chance of being like an OG, a pioneer. Let's go ahead and, really, when it comes down to it, it's about if you're a high roller and a risk taker. And there's those that are and that aren't. And I was. And, man, did it pan out. Because, yeah, BKFC is killing it. They just got signed with Triller. They are adding more and bigger fighters every single card. It's pretty exciting.
I got a question.
Well,
so considering your box, sorry, Corey.
No,
Considering
you're
your
fine.
boxing background, was it a different approach mentally or physically getting into the BKFC? Because everything's different, right? From the rule set to the ring, obviously the taped wrist was, with the no gloves. Like, is it a different approach for you?
I'll honestly say I've talked to so many fighters. I'm really good friends with a lot of them, and we bounce back our thoughts and our feelings. And I think that I'm really the only person that thinks there's no difference. Everyone else is like, dude, this is not boxing. This is bare knuckle. And for me, I think I started off as a street fighter. So I started off as a bare knuckle. Like I was getting hit and punched when I was like a kid, like every other day on the playground. And then moving to the States, I was bullied a lot. And then as I grew up in my young adult, I was in a toxic, abusive relationship. And, I hung around bad people and we got into fist fights all the time. So being hit in the face with a bare fist was like not new to me. So I tried to take that to boxing. And boxing, I got ahead and was doing good because I wasn't like, your traditional boxer. And those wild shots sometimes are the ones that trip up a seasoned boxer because they're like, looking for everything to be straight and down the center and counter. And wild fighters are sometimes really hard to fight because they're unpredictable. And so that's really what got me in through the first couple fights and got me noticed in my boxing. So then when I went to bare knuckle, I was like, well, I mean, I've done this before and it, I didn't die. And then, now that I have boxing training, maybe I'll be better, And so I remember when I got hit the first time as far as in a sanctioned bare knuckle fight, I was like, oh, yeah, it's the same. It's the exact same. But everybody else that I've talked to is like, you're crazy. It's not the same. But I feel like maybe like mentally, maybe, who knows? Maybe I'm lying to myself. Maybe it's just a mental, like I tell myself that, so it's not that bad. I'm like, oh, it's like, when you go get, like we just got tattoos today. Oh, it's just like a tiny scratch. When really it might be way worse than that it's a scratch over and over and over again on already hurting skin. But you tell yourself it's not that bad. So maybe you start to kind of believe it. So I think I just did that so many times. It was like never that bad.
So it's safe to say you're having a lot more fun now than you were when you were boxing.
I was. I mean, there was a couple bare knuckle fights when I was coming out. If I only had a black eye, I was like, yes. I was so happy. I was like, no cuts, nothing's broken, just a black eye. Who cares? I was like stoked, When me and my husband, we go to our honeymoon, Disney World, walking around, and I'm like, yeah, see these black eyes? I won. 3rd round knockout. It's cool. But when you have a cut, the cuts suck. I'm not going to lie. The cuts, in my last fight, I was cut so much. And I was like, God,
No.
it's definitely not fun getting cut, in your face. So that part sucks. And I'll never get used to that. Every time I know I'm cut, I'm like, God dang it. So, but it's cool because like I said, if my nose gets broken or I get a black eye, I'm like, oh, that was easy.
Badge of honor.
Yeah, right.
What about the hands? How are we looking with the hands?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask that and worry about that. I've had 7 bare knuckle fights now. I've only broken my hands in one of those fights. So I feel like the odds are in my favor on that. And really, it wasn't even my knuckles that got broke. It was my fingertip that got broke, where I tried to like parry one of the girl's punches and it snapped down on my fingertip. And damn, that hurt too. But other than that, they've been pretty good. And again, there's been tons of bare knuckle fights I've left, and the next day I'll punch the punching bag and be like, look, I can still do it.
Hey, now you guys would know more than I would. Is that like a common injury in BKFC? Is the hands breaking the hands?
Oh, it's got to be, dude. I mean, I mean, it's common in boxing. It's common in all combat sports. But I mean, when you don't have anything over your hands, I mean, I'd be shocked if there wasn't more broken hands.
Right.
You just see a lot of times where they just, by the end, especially if it ends up going to decision, a lot of times their hands just look like, not to be cartoonish about it, but they look like Mickey Mouse gloves or something where it's just rounded. There's no like definition to it anymore. It's just a round ball of pooled up
they
blood.
get so swollen and puffy. It's so weird looking, but I've seen a ton of them, and their hands they're like marshmallow hands. Like they get swollen.
Yeah.
I'll never
I see my good friend Zion too after his last bare knuckle fight. He came back and he showed us his hand, and that looked gnarly. It was like, whoa, out of this world.
Well, that brings up a question out of it. Like, with everybody that you fought thus far in bare knuckle, we've been getting a lot of questions about. Obviously, the Page fight was one of the biggest things we got a question about. But with you having with that fight, Donald asked, "Is there? Did you how did it feel to cut up Page's face? Did you have any extra beef like with anybody in particular out of your fights with BKFC? Anyone in particular out of all of them?"
Yeah, I mean, it looks like I have a lot of beefs. I don't know if you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I have too many beefs. And I think it's just because, look, I'm being real. I'm not going to call you and be like, hey, let's have a fake, I'm going to come up and yell in your face and we're going to sell this fight and we're going to talk shit. I'm not doing that. It's not happening. If you're talking shit to me, it's personal, and if you don't, then hey, I'm all about the sportsmanship. I really am. We don't need to sell the fight. We can go in there and be like, I want to win. I'm going to get a 3rd round knockout. Those are normal things to say in combat sports. It's a sport, may the best man or woman win. I'm coming out of that ring, whatever. All fun in the sport, but making it personal, talking about your family, your kids, other past transgressions, whatever. There's no place for that, and you're not my friend, and I'm not going to respect you win or lose. That's the way I look at it, because the fight is only solving who's the better fighter. The fight doesn't solve the personal disrespect of myself or my family. You know what solves that? An apology, a public apology, and we're good. But me whooping your ass or you beating me in a fight doesn't solve that. You know what I mean? And so because of that reason, I'm pretty pissed out of a lot of those girls. Paige, totally not one. I think Paige is awesome. We can all make fun of her and poke and whatever. And, I really don't, you really don't see me put memes on there and be like, oh, look who's in wrestling. Look who's going to blow up and suck and get their ass kicked in wrestling too. I don't say those things. They're totally uncalled for. And I don't need to do that. She's going and doing her thing. And, I thought she was nice to me. What she did was in the moment of the fight. She didn't attack, my personal character. She didn't attack my family. Yeah. And I think, to the best to her and, a few other people, but, there's people like Jenny Savage I still can't stand. I don't really like Christine, but she has a weird way. Like I said, I still feel disrespected and don't forgive her. And I know she won't apologize to me, but she makes an effort to give me my credit. And that goes a long way with me. Don't talk shit about me and say I suck. When you go on there and be like, wow, this is an improved fighter and she's doing her thing. I can respect that even if I don't like you. Like, that's how respect is built. So she's not super bad, but Jenny Savage, I'm still pissed at. Pearl Gonzalez, I'm still pissed at. There's the other some other names I'm just gonna leave out for drama purposes, but they piss me off too, so it is what it is.
Well,
I'm glad you
go ahead.
I'm glad you brought up that Pearl fight, because that one was really just such a showcase, I felt like, of your skills. That was such a, I mean, I didn't necessarily know the beef was like that, where you're, still kind of have some feelings about it, but the fight itself was amazing between you two.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, I feel like that fight, gosh, it kind of shows you like, skill can be taught and harnessed, but what's inside you just either have it or don't. And that fight, I actually only had a 3-week notice for that fight. Had no idea Pearl was as good as what she was. And it was that personal shit that really stirred the fire up for me, to where like, in that first round, I remember thinking, there's no way this bitch is going to beat me. I'm so mad at her and I hate her so much. And really, I think that it shut off all the doubt and like me second guessing and moving in a boxing match. And it was just an all out, I'm going to like do whatever it takes to get to you and beat you up.
You know, it's funny how that works when it comes to fighting, because like Corey and I have known each other since I was 10. I remember him coming to watch me fight when I was like, since I was like 16, you know, and it's like, you always tell people you can't, you know, you can play football, you can play baseball, you can play basketball, you can do all these things. You can't play fighting. Like, you know, when you step in a ring, whether it's a squared circle for Bare Knuckle FC, a boxing ring, a cage, whatever it is, you know that you've basically signed yourself up saying, you know what, I'm signing myself up to go scrap with another person who is training just to come whoop my ass. And I try, you know, I remember, I'll never forget us talking about it outside. I started with boxing myself. And so I'll never forget us talking about it. I was like, dude, I gotta be like, I gotta have like some time to myself, because you gotta, you know, it's getting your head right before you're stepping in there. That's the thing. It's again, like football, baseball, all that stuff. We talk about it on the show all the time, and even with us covering wrestling, you know, the mindset when you're getting in there to fight another human being is something else. And that brings me to a question that I had. You know, Donald was asking in the comments. You know, as we mentioned in your first few fights with Bare Knuckle FC, you know, you were coming in with straight boxing and stuff like that. As we mentioned, you know, you're married to Joey Beltran, and we all know his past with MMA and all those things. Number one, how do you feel that's helped you with Bare Knuckle? And does his experience with MMA, did that help you out a bunch when it comes to how you can work in the clinch? You know, you guys are able to use the Thai clungs and all those things, which is different from regular boxing. So both, I guess, two-part question, but how did that help you out?
Yeah, I mean, the best one I can tell you to like look back on is the Jenny Savage fight. And from weigh-ins to the actual fight, like on how natural it was for me to clinch and move around her was all Joey. Like at that time he was teaching a class, and I always took his MMA class. And when I was in fight camp, he made the class, like he geared the whole class to hand fighting and working the clinch and the different angles, and different like cool little secrets that we can't release that really work. And we drill that every day. And Joey had me like to where it was so natural. I didn't even have to think, oh, I put here and this grip and it was so natural because he had such a great way of like coaching and teaching it and drilling it. Man, but my forearms, I remember doing it, my forearms would like ache. They hurt so bad. I couldn't believe it. You know, usually my shoulders, bicep, legs, but my forearms were so worked out from that, like the technique and gripping down and getting that strong clinch. And man, I remember after my weigh-ins when she tried to do some funny move on me and I just reacted. I was like, dude, Joey, did you see that? Like I just pushed her around like it was nothing. It was so cool. It was such a good feeling to know that I was coached and taught that and did it right. But yeah, all the time, like his work in the clinch is just the best. His inside fighting and knowledge of the clinch is so useful. And I remember for me, it was just like that kind of that missing piece, because I know boxing and everyone was like, stay away from the MMA fighters because they know how to clinch, and you're a boxer, you don't know how to clinch. Stay away from the clinch. And now I'm in BKFC is probably the most dangerous female in the clinch.
Yeah.
You know, I think, and you know, everyone usually says that. They're like, whatever you do, don't clinch with Britain. And I'm like, damn, to go from someone who was warned not to even try it to being like feeling such a natural, I really just have to credit to Joey.
And she's got on-site training at all times now. You know what I mean? You guys.
I know, right? Shit, that's an advantage too.
Anytime. Hey, I'm just sitting here. Let's practice some clinches real quick. Come on.
Yo, we do it all the time. Like
we're eating dinner. Let's get up
and I want to just relax. And Joey's like, no, let's work the clinch in the pool. And we always do that. And we're in this new little cute flirting thing where I'm like, I always just go up to him and punch him. And he's like, why are you punching me? And I'm like, it's a love thing. It's a love tap. Like,
see, you guys would be like the perfect relationship meme that you see on Instagram all the time. Like, oh, you know, you know, when you love your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, this is how you show it, you know, and you got the little TikTok reels and all that shit. You guys would be perfect for that. So with that brings Yeah, that brings up a funny question. So we talked about this with past guests of the show, Lindsay Snow, who is on the pro wrestling end of the things, but she also trains at Gracie Tampa and all that stuff as well. So with you guys both being fighters, I feel like that has to make for some funny stories between the two of you guys, with people either giving you guys dirty looks when you're in the store, or just dumb shit that happens when you guys are around the house. With you two being fighters, man, I feel like that's got to make for some funny behind the scenes shit.
Oh my gosh, every day. I tell Joey all the time we need to have a reality TV show, and it's been my dream. And we're actually here. You guys heard it first. I haven't even announced it publicly, but we have our first reality TV show appearance coming up. So I'm like beyond pumped and excited for it. But it's gonna be so wicked, badass, cool.
What's the show?
So it's like what is it called again?
Southland
Bounty Hunters, like through the Patty Mayo. He's like 10 million followers on his YouTube channel. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I've heard of them before. I don't watch their stuff like that, but I've seen them scrolling through my YouTube before.
Right. So it's like bounty hunters that come in and try to arrest you, and you have to escape them or fight them off of you.
Oh, I do.
So you're going to be scrapping with bounty hunters.
Yeah, that's our thing. So you guys heard it first. So I'm so excited for it. And I had to tell Joey, I was like, because you might get tased. You have to sign a waiver that you understand you can be tased. And Joey's like, fuck that. I'm not getting tased. I was like, come on. It's not that bad. We do bare knuckle. I'll get tased for you. Let's go.
Fuck all that shit. I'm with you, Joey. All right. I've had a few mix up with the cops, and I'm not ever going to voluntarily allow somebody to tase me. Shout out to Lena. She gave me this fresh cut and cleaned up my beard real quick, so I wasn't looking like I had pigtails in my beard and shit like Bec Beltran. But with that being said, check them out. Gents Barbershop. But with that being said, let's talk about a little bit more about the business at hand. As we talked about, this is a rematch with you and Bec. Honestly, I went back and rewatched the fight, to get ready for the interview and everything. And one of the biggest things that surprised me in that is, obviously everybody knows Bec has her background in MMA, but I was surprised at how slick she looked boxing to me. I didn't expect her to do as well with the straight boxing. And to me, I feel like that was like the deciding factor with the first fight. But as we just talked about with you and Joey, and getting better with your game in the clinch and all those things, what do you think the biggest differences are going to be for you this time around versus your first fight with Bec?
I honestly think that she's going to be relatively the same fighter, because she has such a great fight stance, and she already has some little things that are really working for her, like, and if it's not broke, why fix it? And so, and her fight stance and how she stalks are all really great factors on her. So I really think she's going to be the same fighter. I think she's going to expect me to be the same fighter, which is wild because it's night and day. Like, sometimes I watch that old Bec fight and I'm like, whoa, like, it's totally a different person. And I even really feel like I did well in that fight. I think that you're right. The things that maybe lost me were like not looking like I was in control, where she looked like she was in control because she was so calm. Where my strategy was like more like, it wasn't that I was like nervous. I just, like I said, I wasn't like trained as properly and efficiently, to move smoothly, but be on the bike and not stand in front of her would be a great game plan. And that doesn't have to change or anything like that. Although I can definitely match her with being calm. And I think that a lot of my fights have shown I can move when I want. I can bang when I want. I've tried the stalking technique as well. And, I think that really just the biggest thing is going to be who's in more control. And when we have those factors on even playing fields, we both look in control, then it's going to go to, well, who lands more shots? Who does more damage? And, really just focusing on that output. Sometimes stalking is good, but I think it limits you on really how many you're going to throw, because you're going to be waiting and predicting on your opponent. So if I'm always throwing and moving correctly and stalking and pushing her back, I really think it's going to be a different fight game and fight scenario. But I mean, we really don't know what kind of Britain we're going to see out there, because I feel like I've demonstrated all the tools that it takes to be a great bare knuckle fighter. And so for me to see Bec on what Bec shows up on June 24th, I'll be able to just make the adjustments, know what the game plan is, and really execute it this time instead of thinking, I hope this works. Let's see. I'm going to have the confidence. I know this is going to work. I've been here before. I've seen this before, and this is how it's done.
Yeah, and experience is really on your side now this time over because of all the BKFC experience that you've gained in between those fights.
Yeah, and I mean, after, like, again, the Bec fight, I was working. I actually had like 3 jobs at the time. I was working my ass off. My kids lived with me. I was really running ragged at that time frame in my life. And then after that fight, I really put all my eggs in that basket. I mean, I really did. So when I didn't win, I kind of took a downfall. Like, man, I quit my job of 5 years. I didn't have, I was kind of depressed, and I lost my other job, and I don't know what to do, and I need to find this team, but this team isn't in Virginia. So where do I go? I felt so lost. And, then I went on this ride on giving up everything and sleeping out of my car and sleeping in gyms and doing whatever I had to survive to get that boxing IQ. I've really, since the Bec fight, been living in a boxing gym day in, day out. Even being with Joey, we have a great life and it's super magical, but we go to the gym every day. Our schedule right now is 10 to 12, take a small break, go and run, do some crazy cardio for about an hour, take a break, and then back in the gym from 6 to 8. And that's every day. And it's been like even more than that in other situations since I've been with Joey, which has been, well over a year. So you got to think, going from a lifestyle of kids, working, juggling, trying to get to the gym, missing the gym because other things come first, and that being your lifestyle all the way up until the Bec fight, to this whole huge lifestyle change. I mean, it's going to be different, and there's no way it can't be,
Mm-hmm. And not to mention, I feel like she's had a huge layoff, right, since her last fight.
She has.
It's been 2 years, 3 years.
Well, I was going to ask about that because her last fight was for Bellator, and I was going to say, do you think with her going back to MMA and fighting those fights in Bellator, along with the long layoff, do you think that that's going to give you the advantage going into this fight? Because not only, like Corey mentioned, have you been more active not only in bare knuckle, but even from her last fight, which she won in Bellator, it's still been 2 years since she stepped in a ring, whether that's a bare knuckle FC ring or an MMA ring, and it's a different fighting style. So do you think that's going to give you the advantage come June 24th?
Being honest, I really like the sound of it. It sounds great, but it's not like what I'm banking on. I don't follow her, and I really don't like peep on my opponents that much. But if I do see a clip of her, someone else shares it or shows me, she's always working out. She's still putting highlight reels on of her in the gym. So, she doesn't look like she gained a lot of weight. So she's obviously doing something to keep in shape. So I just think that, it's kind of like riding a bike. If you do something and you love it and you're really good at it, you don't really lose it. You get kind of a ring rust, but 2 years, I don't think is enough to lose everything that she's really like worked up and perfected. Her footwork is still going to be strong. Her punches are going to be sharp. The only thing I can really hope for is that she doesn't remember what it feels like to get hit by a bare knuckle. And she might be like, oh shit, this is worse than what I remember it. Or, oh man, like, I don't remember it being like this. Like, maybe that throwing her off her game. But I expect her to be in good physical shape. I expect her to have the same skills that she had in 2018, which were good skills.
So you're saying all the way back to the beginning, them couple extra pounds that you were able to build up to in camp and now are cutting off are going to make that power difference. So she's going to not like that power you put on her. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you,
Veins.
I get really sensitive to people's feedback and criticism, and not like in a bad way, just I take it to note. So when people are like, "Oh, Britain lacks power," I'm like, "Man, I really don't. It's just that these girls are 20 pounds bigger than me, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference, you know." But I've tried my hardest to like offset that, and now when I hear the feedback that I'm hitting harder and that my power game is way up, yeah, I'm super excited and hoping that that's going to be a huge determining factor. You know, I'm still really waiting for that to be showcased, and it really hasn't yet. But you know, I think a lot of people used to say I sucked at my jab, and I feel like some people are like, dude, she has a great jab. People used to say I had shitty footwork. Now people think I have awesome footwork. So the power is the next big step for me that I feel like people still don't think I have. And so I've been working on it day in, day out, you know, I really have.
Well, let me ask you this. So, you know, obviously when bare knuckle first came out, you know, you had a bunch of different styles of way people were coming to fight. You know, when bare knuckle FC started doing their thing, obviously there's BYB and it was doing its thing in England. But now that we're seeing so many more people come over, whether that's from MMA, whether that's from boxing, whether that's whatever it is, you know, you're seeing so many people come over to bare knuckle. In your opinion, what do you think? Who do you think has the best time in bare knuckle? Because I've seen a lot of the boxers that they have come in there that are good, that can move their head, you know, and can have that slick head movement. I mean, shout out to past guests of the show, Mark Irwin. I mean, that got him a slick ass knockout over there in BYB last weekend. So do you think it's more conducive to have that boxing style and the good head movement? Or do you think it's, you know, a person by person thing, or is having a hybrid of that in a clinch the best way to go these days?
I mean, I'm always try to be team boxing, and you know, me and Joey go back and back, and you know, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, the MMA people have the advantage and beat out the boxers in bare knuckle," and I'm like, "Hello, I'm only boxing. You know, I've never had an MMA fight, and I'm doing pretty damn well sitting at #1 female contender." So I do think that it is, you know, a bit of a person to person, because there are some times I see boxers go in with a really good head movement and they miss 2 or 3 punches, which is awesome, but it's always the 4th and 5th one that get you. And when they get caught by those, it's just like, why would you, you know, don't stay there in the pocket with them, pivot out, like clinch up, you know, and a lot of the times they'll just put their head out there for an MMA person to just be like, oh, you gave it to me. I might as well just use it, you know? And that's my only frustration with boxers. Other than that, hey, I look at it as this isn't bare knuckle MMA. This is bare knuckle boxing. It's not bare knuckle Muay Thai. It's bare knuckle boxing. So I think that boxers should have the edge, and that it should be treated, you know, and looked at, you know, from a boxing perspective. I would tell an MMA person, if they were going to go to bare knuckle, get your ass in a boxing gym, learn the boxing techniques. And the clinch is good. And, you know, really, I feel like dirty boxing can really be translated over to the clinch, because a lot of the same things with gloves on, I do all the time. You know, I might get a warning from the ref. Might not be like the most best thing to do, but hey, if it works, it's way better than getting hit and having the fight stop. So, you know, in those point of times, you just got to be smart. I'm like, what feels right? I'm getting hit. I have to do something to get this person off of me. I might as well clench their head and close that distance, you know? So it
I
doesn't
like
seem
that you
like
can
rocket
actually work
science.
in it too, you know? Like in
Yeah,
boxing, you
well,
know, when you get that clinch in boxing, it's automatic. They're always trying to break it up. At least in bare knuckle, you've got the ability to work. You've got the ability to be able to, if you can use it, you know, it gives you a couple little angles that you don't have in boxing. So that's one thing I like that they've adapted to bare knuckle.
yeah, well, let me tell you this. Actually, like I said, remember how I said I don't peep my opponent's videos, which I really don't. But there was
But-
this one video of Paige.
There was
that
this
got
one
leaked.
time at band camp.
Yeah, this one time. So maybe I should. But anyways, Paige was doing some drill, and she was like clinching with both hands, and I was like, huh. And I was like, if she's training to clinch with both hands, that means both her hands are occupied. So if I ever feel this girl put hands on me in a clinch, I know that she's going to do two. And I'm going to just let my hands rip and go wild, fast fury, whatever, because I know her hands are tied up. And sure enough, what happened in Knucklemania, she put both her hands on me, and I was just like, boom. And I mean, I don't care if they're wild. It was a trigger and a button to me that as an MMA person, if you're dumb enough to put both hands on me in a clinch where we need to be working, I'm going to work with both hands.
Yeah, I was
You're
about
not
to say,
kidding.
no knees. All you can do is throw hands. You're kind of
and that was the clip. So when you guys go back and watch it, where everyone was like, "Oh, look, Paige tried to knee." She didn't try to knee me. She was just trying to, I think, break the separation. But anyways, it still worked out for me.
Hell yeah. Well, before we get off of go ahead, Corey.
While we're on the topic of Paige VanZant, I just am curious. How do you feel with your name kind of being tied to her? I've watched many interviews and stuff that you've done, and it seems like her name's always brought up. How do you feel with having that connection just kind of be there, of course? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just, I'm a girl at the end of the day. It depends how I'm feeling. So sometimes I do get like, not salty, but I'm just like, man, like, I heard she's going to headline the London card or headline something, or she did headline one card. And I'm like, she's 0-2, 0-1. And I have a way better record. Why am I not headlining? But I get it. It's business, and she has more followers and does the other things with like the Instagram model. And I do get it to a point, but at the same time, I feel like, again, that's something that you guys can say that you've seen me be consistently, even with all this. I was literally a nobody at the beginning of this. And even with the climb of fame, I've still stayed pretty much that same girl that started day one. You haven't seen me do anything extra that's elaborate. Maybe here and there every once in a while is fine. But other than that, I'm still pretty true to my roots. So with that being said, I wish that we could be like rewarded on winning fights and putting ourselves out there like that. But, it's not her fault that, the business model, what they say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
So it's not me being mad at her. It's me being more mad at like standards in society and what makes a great female fighter. Is it the fact she wins fights and she's exciting to watch, or is it the fact that she has OnlyFans and she's posting on the internet all the time and she has 100,000 followers? Well, to me, those 100,000 followers mean jack shit because they're only there to see a couple things, and they're loosely covered. Other than that, the 30,000, 40,000 followers I have, they're there to see all like the personality, everything that I bring to the table, fighting, family, friends, all that stuff. So, I mean, like I said, it's a handoff. Not everybody's perfect. And, I do kind of put that out there. Being the girl that beat Paige isn't good enough for me. I went and beat way out, a ton of other people and, in really great fashion. I think that's the thing that pisses me off the most. People are like, oh, if Paige would have had one more round, she would have beat Britain. And I'm like, no, she wouldn't have.
What about all the other fights I
I've
won?
gone on to win several fights after her, and she's gone on to lose fights after me. So it's like, there's things there. But I mean, in a way, you got to be thankful. If she never fought, if we never had that fight, I would never really been noticed in the first place. So she did kind of help me get my name out there. Whether it was as the girl who beat Paige to the feeling to whatever. Now I have a way better header start for people to know and know me as, Brit and Beltran going forward.
Yeah.
Hell
I didn't
yeah.
know if you were
100,000 followers can't help you in that ring, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know if you were leaning more towards your latter point or if you were kind of salty because it's just, like who wants to constantly have to answer questions about somebody else when they're talking about themselves, and what they have going on. So
Sorry, guys, got a missed call.
You're good. You're good. But before we get off of the combat sports thing, I mean, I figured who better to ask about all these fights that are going to happen this weekend than a fellow fighter. So you've got first of all, let's start with the Bare Knuckle FC news. What are your thoughts on this matchup that they've surfaced today, where we found out that MVP is coming over from Bellator?
Sorry.
And what happened? You good?
Did you lose audio again?
Can she hear us?
How do I get the?
I can still hear her.
I can hear her
Oh,
fine.
she backed out.
I think she's going to rejoin. I think that she lost audio again.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask her about her thoughts on the news of Mike Perry and MVP Michael Venom Page getting ready to fight. This is an interesting ass fight, especially with him being still signed to Bellator. It's going to be a hell of a fight.
I personally love the matchmaking so much, especially the fact that this is in London, and MVP always gets fucking the people hyped up in London. He gets the people going in London, and I don't think it's going to be any different. And really, you talk about like one of their top level stars, whether to Britton Hart's point, maybe not as quite proven in BKFC, only having the one win.
Oh, she's back. She is risen.
MVP, sign me up. I know I'll be fucking watching.
Yeah. Here to rise. Sorry, guys. I hate that.
She lives. Gotta love technical difficulties.
Over, I just left and came back, but I put it on disturb. Sorry about that.
Hey, we love technical difficulties around here. Just ask Kyle.
We love technical difficulties this time of the year, but that being said, we wanted to know what were your thoughts on the news from BKFC today that you've got Michael Venom Page coming over from Bellator to fight Mike Perry. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's super cool. I like Mike Perry, so I think it's a good thing. I think he came in and he proved himself to bare knuckle. And I think it's going to be an exciting fight. It's a pretty cool one. And I hope it headlines over in Britain.
Well, from the news that I heard, it is. So
yeah, it looks like it. So I'm happy, because before I heard that Paige was headlining the London card, and I was like,
damn it.
I roll.
I had seen Feldman come out and kind of shoot that down almost immediately, though. It was kind of like more of a media thing than it was like actual company side. It seemed like they were like, hey, she is going to be on the card in one of the feature events, but she's not the headliner. We have something in the works for that. And finding out that this is it, I had just started to make the point when, our little in-between time there, but sign me the hell up. That sounds like an entertaining ass match. And like we were talking about, every time we talk about MVP, he maybe doesn't have the level of confidence. Mike Perry's that, man. He's going to bring it, especially in a bare knuckle environment. Sign me up. That sounds entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you like in that fight?
Sure. That is definitely.
So who do you like in that fight? We've got MMA all strung up. Who do you like, Britton?
Oh, against the MVP Mike Perry match?
Yes.
I'm definitely Mike Perry. I really like him. At first, I remember hearing him cheer for Paige when me and Paige fought, but then I was like, but he actually was super. I met him in person, and I really like, he was with his wife and how their relationship is just really down to earth people, super duper nice to me and Joey, and that goes like I said. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are, bells and whistles aside, it's how you treat each other. And he was a super nice guy and gave a lot of really good words of wisdom. And so I don't forget that. So I definitely cheering him on and hope he does well. And I really always cheering on and hope he does the best.
Now, real quick before we jump off, I want to get your thoughts on what is it like? What kind of? I know you said you don't have any MMA experience in your background, but this kind of forbidden door being opened, where now Bellator and BKFC are kind of coming together to work to, it was a surprising announcement when I seen it. I've seen Bellator kind of work in the MMA sphere with other organizations, but bare knuckle, it was an interesting move. And what's your thoughts on kind of the possibility of maybe more of these crossover fights?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it should have been from day one, in my opinion. I remember hearing things like, oh, they're signed, like with Bec. Bec was signed with Bellator, and so she couldn't come to BKFC. So, she's not even ranked anymore. She's 3-0 and was like, gave up her belt and everything to go to Bellator. And so, it's kind of makes it a little weird. And then for me, I was ranked number 1 in boxing in my weight class. And since I have been with bare knuckle, they don't let me box. And so because I've gone a year without boxing, I'm now inactive in boxing. And I hate that. It sucks. I wish we could cross over more because there's a lot of people that are super ambitious and are super exciting in a multitude of sports. So I want to be able, I think it's a great thing to be on many platforms. And then at the end of the day, everyone's winning because you're getting your fans from boxing, your fans from MMA, your new fans from bare knuckle. And the pot's only going to get bigger. So I think like about time is really my reaction to what you just said.
I think that speaks to the growth of BKFC too. If you guys, because Bellator, I mean, let's face it, they're the number 2 company, right? But they're pretty big. So the fact that they're kind of crossing paths together, man, that speaks volumes to what BKFC has done so far. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely.
All right, so we got to get your thoughts on this because, like I said, we've got a bunch of good fights. I'm really looking forward to this one, even though it's not the main event for us with the UFC this weekend. But you've got the rematch between Jan Jacek and Wei Li. I feel like that's going to be a banger. You gotta pick on that fight.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I definitely hope Wei Li wins. So I'm definitely about that, and I hope she tells her to shut up again. So I thought that was pretty great. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of her, like I said, I just don't like people that are like over the top bullies,
The boogie woman.
The boogie woman.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I think it'll be cool.
Hey, it's going to be a banger if nothing else. But the last and not least that we've got on this fight, you've got the big title fight between Glover, who is over here. Oh yeah, we got Valentina as well. Man, I'm missing out. You've got the other championship fight that night. Who you got? Valentina Shevchenko or Talia Santos? I think we're all going with Shevchenko, but
all right. Well, I'm gonna go the other route then.
All right, let's go. Let's go. I like it. Scared money don't make no money. She's putting money on them odds. I like it.
Hey, and man, you seen what happened with Amanda Nunes, right?
You're not wrong, though. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
No one ever would have thought that Pena would have beat Nunes. So
hey, I like Pena, but I can't say I thought that either.
And in the recent history, man, the Giants, quote unquote, are falling right now. So you just never know, dude.
Yeah,
this would be. You talk about biggest upset. I think this might even take this might be right up there with the Pena one, dude.
This could be a big one.
Yeah, Talia Santos has shown herself to be a definite challenge too. She might not be as well known, obviously, as someone like Valentina, but she's earned her way into this position for a reason. So.
All right. Well, now last but not least, who you got? We're out of it.
You know what's happening over there? She's fielding phone calls right now.
Hell yeah. Dude, she's a busy lady. But all right, last but not least, we got Glover versus Yuri Prochazka. Who you got in this one? Oh shit, she's survived.
You can always expect me to come back. I swear, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so that was.
It doesn't work.
A total technical.
I swear that doesn't.
Damn
work.
it, Apple! I want a credit.
I know. I even put the moon. It's the moon symbols on. Stop calling me.
My notifications are off. I got to get my picks for the UFC. Well, all right, in the title fight, who do you got? Do you think Glover continues to defy Father Time, or do you think Yuri Prochazka is taking the light heavyweight strap?
I think it's gonna stay with the current champ. I don't think it's gonna leave.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It's such an interesting thing. Glover's, he's been in the UFC for fucking ever, right? He's showcased that just never ending. He's just never gave up on himself, and that's why I feel as though he's earned his way into this position of the current belt holder. And I feel like that's going to be on display this coming Saturday, whether or not he gives up on himself. Because I think Yuri is the type of person that could put him in those spots where he kind of is tested whether or not he's going to be willing to push through in certain moments. But all in all, I truly do think Glover has the skills, especially if he's able to get him down fairly early. I don't think Yuri's skilled enough on the ground to deal with somebody like Glover. Glover's just ran through like basically everybody. Once he's able to get on top and implement his game, he's so hard to deal with. And his striking's no slouch either. So it's not like if he does have to play that game for a round or two, he's going to just automatically lose or something like that. So I lean towards Glover in this fight.
Yeah, and there's been this trend too. I've noticed with the UFC, like the current champs, like they really kind of like play very well to their strengths and not taking risk and chances.
Yeah.
And it's always that old mentality to beat the champ. You got to beat the champ. It can't be close.
It should be that way.
It should be.
Yeah,
that.
and I think that I just don't see it in it to be to really showcase getting out to really be like, oh, I'm going to beat you with someone that I think is going to be seasoned enough to mitigate those risks of losing it.
Especially after that fight with the way he took out Jan like that. I don't think anybody expected him to march right across the cage, take him down, beat him up a little bit, and get the submission pretty much, just straight shot. I don't think anybody expected it to go straight that way. J-Bone, who do you got? Your last but not least.
Man, my heart wants to go with Glover, man, but Father Time's a real thing, dude. It's just like
you think he's dropping it, huh?
You know what? I'm so on the fence. You know what? Yeah. I think.
Oh shit, he's going against the grain. If you guys got any other picks on this one, let us know in the comments.
Listen, I'm not happy about it. Okay, don't skip that and tag him or anything. But I'm not happy about that one. But like I said, man, it's Father Time. That's all.
As somebody who competes in the athletic fields like this, do you still make time to watch all these fights, especially with UFC putting on constant, just week after week and stuff like that? BKFC doing their thing where it's like twice a month now. It seems like that they're running cards. Do you still make time to watch all these fights, or is it just kind of when you need to?
I think it just depends. I think, Joey's a lot better about it, being that he's, fought in the UFC and Bellator. So he keeps up with it a lot. And because we're together all the time and, he fills me in on it and he'll put it on TV. And then, all our friends are fighters. So at the end of the day, it comes down to like, really the fights are important when it's like, hey, you want to come over and watch the fights with us? Then it's like, oh, okay. So we get a lot of that. So we do make time because, it's such an awesome way to like connect with people, just like we're connecting right now. It's awesome to go over on the couch with your friends and watch fight night, whether it be BKFC, UFC, boxing. We loved watching just the last fight with
Kambosos and Haney.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, not that one. That was last week. The weeks before. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart.
Tanking the tank fight.
Yeah, we watched that one too. That was a good fight. That was an awesome fight.
Yeah. That fight they're talking about out of that one's going to be a banger. Talking about now they're talking about Tank versus Haney next. That'd be a banger.
Hey, and I seen someone else call him. They're like, oh, I'm the only one who's beat him, so no one else is going to. So I expect like something to come out of that too.
Yeah,
but
that'd be a banger.
And see, that's why I'm even like confusing them. They've been running together because I feel like the last like 4 weeks have been an epic fight. Even with like the one boxing match, I'm trying to remember. I remember only wanting to watch the boxing match. But there was a UFC fight on. It was like with Chandler.
Canelo and Bivol.
Yeah, there you go. And that's really the fight I want to watch because I'm boxing. I'm team boxing. But I was looking at the UFC screen like, oh my God, these fights are crazy too. There was a girl fight a little bit crazy. Chandler fight was crazy.
Oh,
But
what about
Rose versus who the boring the
yeah,
fight that turned out super boring.
the boring.
The most
yeah,
boring
it's
fight of the
super
year.
boring, and she lost.
Yeah.
What was your
Man.
thoughts on Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano selling out Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, that was an awesome one. That was such a great one. I think it was cool, and again, like about time. I feel like the women fights are just as exciting and ticket sellers as male fights. So it's cool to see one that's such a high level and get that exposure that it did being in Madison Square, being main event, and just on the way they publicized it. It was really awesome, and I thought it was a freaking hell of a fight.
Yeah,
You being
I
from
love
boxing, do you want to see the 3 minutes though? 3-minute rounds for women too?
To be honest with you, I'm on Katie. Like I remember when Amanda asked Katie, and Katie was like, "Why?" I kind of see it. I think that some people are like, "Well, for you to be treated like the men, you gotta box the 3 minutes too." And hey, if that's what it takes, sign me up 100%. But I'm telling you, that's not what it takes. It could matter less if we did 3 minutes. It would still treat us the same. So in that aspect, I go with why make it 3 minutes, do 2 minutes. Because the 2 minutes is the exciting factor. Because that extra minute is the plottiness,
Feeling them
calculating.
out.
Yeah, feeling them out. The 2 minutes goes by quick. And you hear a lot of people say that when they go to bare knuckle, because bare knuckle is super cool. Because male, female, it doesn't matter. And see, there goes, and that proves your point right there. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It's 2-minute rounds. But do you see the females get main event spots and a lot of features or get paid as much as the men? Not really.
Good point.
Not really. And I fight just as long. And I'm telling you, like I said, I'm not mad at the player. It's just the game. But Joey gets paid way more than I do. And then they try to say, oh, because he's a heavyweight. Okay, I get that. Well, make a heavyweight female class and pay them the same. Let's go. But, it is what it is. But I think I like the 2 minutes. I think the fast pace is exciting for women's style. So I'm still about that. But if it meant we would truly get paid and be treated as equals, yeah, absolutely, I would do it. But I don't think that's the factor.
Great answer. Well, we've kept you for quite a while, so I'll finish it with this. Number one, let everybody know if they're on the fence and how you expect this fight to finish on June 24th. And also, one last question from Hannah, which will leave this on a good note. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Quiche, definitely. I love quiche. Anything in a pie crust is amazing.
You're not
Can't
wrong.
argue with that. Yeah,
You're not wrong. And
Yeah.
how do you see this fight ending on the 24th? And for anybody that's on the fence about using that referral code that's in your bio on Instagram for Bare Knuckle TV, what can we expect come June 24th?
Yeah, I mean, what you can expect is a freaking amazing story and journey of one person. And I started, Rocky, and then you guys saw me bust my ass after that Rocky start to get a 4-fight win streak. And then I did all that to get to a title and lose. You guys have no idea how upset I am for that and how bad I want to make that up. So not only it's a rematch against Bec, who I don't like. 2, it's just it's for my own fact that I'm pissed off about life and the unfair things. I'm pissed off for losing my title fight, and I have so much emotion and feelings going into this. On top of being, in the gym, in the lab, technically being as sound as possible. So you're going to continue to see and know that it's not luck and that they didn't get it wrong back then, and that, really, I deserve to win the first go around. So let's just clear it up and not let it even go to judges.
I like it. Scared money don't make no money. If you guys are on the fence, she's coming here to finish this shit come June 24th. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, comment button. Britton, let them know where they can find you on all their social medias and all that good stuff.
Yep. I'm at Team Britton Beltran. So it's pretty easy. It's all on my Twitter, on my TikTok, on, Facebook and everything. Only really if you want to YouTube my name, Britton Hart comes up. But other than that, Team Britton Beltran is where it's at. Thank you guys so much for the support. It's been a blast talking to you three. So just keep up and just send that follow just to know that we support people that are going after their dreams no matter what. I'm gonna make it worth it.
Hell yeah, man. I can't wait to see the fight. You've got fans in your corner from knockouts and 3 counts. We'll definitely have to do this again soon.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Well, with that being said, I got to get out of here and feed my fucking face. So until next Tuesday, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Peace.